Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden, Will Southard, and Tommy Yu.
Welcome, everybody, to the PPP presented by Legit Football. My name is Brian. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening or watching this, and tell a friend. That is how we grow this Pigskin Party. I'm joined, as always, by my co-hosts, one of them spotting a very happy sleeveless shirt, and one of them closer and more intimate than normal. Tommy, Will, how's it going, guys?
What's going on? I got an actual Eagles color going on, I think, for Tommy.
That's like lime green. I don't know if that falls in the spectrum of Philly.
Can we all appreciate this beautiful arc? At first, there were times where Will and I had different points of views and we're picking on each other. Now we're getting closer and closer together. This friendship arc is why we're all here.
Go Birds!
Oh my goodness, Tom Brady is the GOAT!
Yes!
Wow.
Did we just become best friends?
I've actually just accepted this fact. I hated Brady forever.
Hey, Tommy,
like,
did you realize that Tommy is now a Brady fan after today? Did you realize that?
He is the GOAT. This is true.
I'm kind of becoming a Brady fan.
Oh, yes! Yes!
We'll talk about that in the flavor of the week. Of players that are universally liked. Does Brady make the cut?
No.
No,
not in any way, shape, or form.
No, definitely not. But, hey, little teaser for the flavor of the week. But that is not what this episode is. Let's go ahead and bring in our guest. He is now the most tenured guest, because Tommy is a host, so he doesn't count as a guest term, for his third appearance. Mr. Neal Thrailkill, co-host of the Two Tight Ends podcast, and a Washington football team fan. Was that
a chicken?
Was that a chicken? Okay.
Yeah, I'm on board with the sound drop choice.
Yeah, that's our dollar menu McDonald's 99-cent sound drop for Washington. Neal, how's it going, dude?
It's going good. I had no idea I was the longest tenured now. That's awesome. What an honor. Great to be back,
You're on
guys.
for the third time. I was not on. You and Connor held it down with these two Shlomos when I was on vacation. Did an awesome job listening to the episodes. And yeah, this is number 3 for you, man. You're a vet. How you feeling?
Let's go. Oh, I'm ready. I'm fired up because last time I feel like we were a little cordial between me and Tommy, but I don't know about this time. I don't know about this one.
I will be disappointed if you're cordial in this episode. And why is that? Well, last week we previewed the AFC East as we start our division previews. And what we're going to do is we're going to alternate AFC, NFC, East, North, Northwest, and all that kind of stuff. So we are doing the NFC East today. We've got Tommy, the Eagles fan. We've got Neal, the Washington football team fan. See, I got to do the sound drop myself, Anthony, because you won't really record it. So, yes, we will be previewing the NFC East. But also, one thing to note is we actually, by the time you're listening to this, at least 2 teams will have started training camp. Like, guys, we're there. We've got the Cowboys, Steelers, and Bucks this week in actual training camp. We can stop speculating on what Aaron Rodgers is doing on his honeymoon vacation with Shailene Woodley and actually talk about some football.
Spoiler alert, he's having sex.
What? Yo, this is a Christian podcast.
I thought Aaron Rodgers was celibate and saving himself for Jeopardy, but
I mean, he has kind of. Never mind. I was gonna say he screwed over the Packers right now pretty hard.
Aha! There you go.
Hold on. I just want to say let's bless all the players and their knees and their ACLs and all that kind of stuff right now, because as soon as training camp starts, there's that excitement, but then there's a part of me I'm like, oh, please, everyone be safe.
And honestly, before training camp starts, we have some news that is actually going to be the first thing that we talk about. Let's go ahead and get into the NFL news. But first, today's episode is presented by Legit Football. Legit Football, the top 5 NFL stories of the day, delivered direct to your inbox every morning for free. Go to legitfootball.com and subscribe, and you can also find a link in the episode description. So as Tommy mentioned, yes, we want to say a football prayer out there for all the ACLs, for all the rotator cuffs, for all the Achilles that are out there. And unfortunately, before training camp even starts, we have some injury news, significant injury news. Los Angeles Rams running back Cam Akers tore his Achilles and is likely out for the entire 2021 season. LA isn't even set to start the training camp until next week. So what I wanted to talk about with you guys, and Will, I'll start with you on this, is what actions, if any, will the Rams take, knowing that Cam Akers really started to come on toward the end of the year? He was really the driver of that offense. A lot of high expectations for him this year. Tears his Achilles, out for the season. Are they happy with Darrell Henderson? Do they go out and get a free agent running back? What do you think they do?
I mean, I think obviously they go out and get somebody, right? Like, you have to. You can't tie your entire running back wagon to Darrell Henderson because what happens if he gets hurt, right? And he needs some complimentary running back play, right? Like, he's not going to be your 3-down workhorse stud. You got to get something away from.
And they had Malcolm Brown, but he is now in Miami, so they don't even have that third option anymore. So
yeah, I mean, I think we're going to start the fun debate of picking who the Rams are going to go out and get, or maybe whose. Is that the plural of two? But it's going to be some people.
Who is?
I personally have my preferred Rams picks.
Well, let's start there. We'll get everybody's take.
Yeah, all right, my pick. I'll go. My pick would be Le'Veon Bell, just because, God, like, dude is just like fallen off the map. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody agreed he was amazing in Pittsburgh, and he has just done literally nothing since then. So,
but do we think that? I mean, we know the Jets' offensive line was bad, but Lev Bell didn't do him any favors. He did not look very good after sitting out an entire season.
No, I don't. Which is why, again. It's not for the. I don't want that to happen because I think he'd be the best fit for the Rams. I want that to happen because I want to see if he's truly just garbage or not. So I'm excited. I'm here for that. I'm here for it.
So LA, sign Lev Bell just for Will's entertainment purposes. That's all he cares about.
That's what the NFL is.
Neal, let's go to you on this one. Do you think LA makes a move? Do you think they need to add a running back? Do you think Darrell Henderson is good to go there?
I think Will hit it on the head. I feel like they have to make a move here, at least for depth, right? I mean, you got to get. I mean, some people throwing out an Adrian Peterson, maybe. I mean, that would be an interesting fit there.
So I do have a quote from him, who, by the way, I added him to the show notes last week before this injury because I thought this quote was interesting and worth mentioning. So this is from Adrian Peterson. He says, quote, "My body feels good." I think he's like 47 at this point. "I came out healthy from last season. My body feels strong. I still feel young. I still feel good. I'm ready to play ball." So AP says he's ready.
Hold on. I want to translate that real quick before Neal nails it on his prediction. To translate what AD is saying is, I'm so broke. I really need to work. I'm severely in debt. Please, someone sign me. But
you think he is though?
Yeah.
He's notorious financial problems. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to pay lawyers somehow,
I guess.
All right, Neal. Let's hear. Who do you think let's make a prediction. Who do you think they'll go after? Since you do believe they'll sign a vet.
I think Le'Veon actually makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, he's a shifty player. He can get out in space, run around, if he can still play, right, Will? But I think Adrian Peterson, for a 1A kind of guy, maybe even a second fiddle there, I think it makes sense. Like, he doesn't have to take the whole load, but man, he can still carry the ball. If you watched him, he definitely can still carry the ball. Not every down, but he can still make a dent in the defense. So, yeah,
so he actually averaged, I looked up the stats, just under 4 yards a carry and had 7 touchdowns last year with Detroit. That's not terrible, especially as you mentioned, Neal, if you bring him in for depth. You're not relying on him to be your starter. If Henderson's your main and you just bring him in for depth and maybe pound him at goal line and maybe first and second down some, you could do worse.
Yeah. I agree.
Tommy, I'm waiting for you to weigh in now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Adrian Peterson, I think he's great. I know he's like 35 years old, but I feel like if you utilize him as a role player, he's going to be great. I mean, pure rushing-wise, like when the ball is in his hands and he can just carry and just do what Adrian Peterson has done like for the past decade and a half or however long he's been in the league, he's been great. And it's weird because with running backs, everyone says, oh, they're washed. When I see Adrian Peterson with the ball in his hands when he's running as ancient as he is, I still see a burst. I don't know how it's possible, but he still has a burst. And I'm like, well, that's because this guy is just a superhero. He's insane. But I think the only thing working against him is he's very one-dimensional, like I mentioned. He's not much of a threat in the passing game or pass blocking or anything like that. And so for those reasons, I feel like I'm on Shark Tank. For those reasons, I'm out. Say, Will nailed it. But I think he would be a great piece, but maybe just not to LA, only because Henderson, the way, like, his bread and butter is also being a good runner. He's really well at being able to, I mean, didn't he only fall like 1 yard short of matching what Cam Akers also had this past season? So he's a very capable running back. So I feel like if LA were to go out and get another running back, I feel like Duke Johnson is a no-brainer. I mean, if you want to have someone that complements it, that's exactly what it is. Let Henderson do what he wants to do, but when it come third down or passing downs or whatever, Duke Johnson's as good as it gets. And out of all the current free agent veterans, if you will, I mean, everyone I see on that list, and I know this is a horrible thing to say, but I'm like, washed. And then I get to Duke Johnson, and I'm like, for what he does, he's
Gurley
not that
is
bad.
Dead to McVay. There's no way McVay would have Gurley back after he just ran that offense into the ground. But I agree with Tommy. Actually, I was thinking a vet for backup purposes, an Adrian Peterson, a Lev Bell, maybe
LaShawn
McCoy.
Yeah.
You know what
right.
what the Super Bowl move would be? You know what the Super Bowl move is, right? You trade for Gio. That's what you do.
Well, Tom's not going to let Gio go, according to you. Like,
I mean, according to Tommy, whoever that guy's name is, Keyshawn, what is it? Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yeah.
He's going to be a thing and take away from Gio's precious touches, but we all know that's not going to happen. Brian, who do you got?
What I had started to say earlier is somebody had mentioned on Twitter Duke Johnson. I'm like, actually, that's perfect. Henderson is he has shown flashes. He hasn't been a true workhorse back, but Duke Johnson has the experience. He's a great passing, out of the backfield running back, and you've got Matt Stafford. You've got this offense with McVay that should be just going to the next level, especially in the passing game, and adding a running back like Duke Johnson, to me, seems to be the smart move. Yes, Lev Bell would certainly be the most entertaining. AP would be a nice story, or
Gurley
McCoy
would be the most entertaining. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I agree.
It's not entertaining to watch somebody run 7 miles per hour as an NFL running back. So I'm with Duke Johnson. But I do want to mention, for those of you who are watching the YouTube, I am wearing a black T-shirt in memoriam of Cam Akers' Achilles. And it sucks. This is going to happen. Everybody has these predictions and these the hope and the hype, and then already training camp hasn't even begun, and we've already seen a season-ending injury to a very valuable player for the Rams. So let's move on and talk about a player who used to be valuable in the league and is still solid, but is kind of on the other side of his career, but was in the news for a very different reason, and that is Richard Sherman. So this did happen last Wednesday, so we have not had a show since then. We are recording on Tuesday, a day later than normal, so some of you might feel this is a few days late, but I at least wanted to bring it up and get all of your thoughts on the Sherman incident, because it was newsworthy. So to recap, he was arrested last Wednesday after police said he crashed his car in a construction zone, and this is just outside of Seattle, and then tried to break into his in-laws' home, so his wife's parents. I've seen video of it. He's banging it with all his strength. I mean, he looks very, very angry. It's definitely
uncomfortable.
Yeah. It is uncomfortable. It's absolutely uncomfortable. He did go to court. He ended up pleading not guilty to 5 misdemeanor charges, including 2 domestic violence counts. Now, he didn't hurt anyone, but criminal trespass and malicious mischief, I got to slow that down to say that right, are both considered domestic violence because he knew he was related to the people that were in the house. He is an ex-49er and Seahawk. He's currently a free agent. So basically, this is obviously tragic. We're not really going to debate. He's gone on Instagram and talked about how remorseful he feels and how he knows he needs some help and he's going to seek that help. We're not going to discuss that. I'm going to more discuss has this ended his NFL career? Tommy, we'll start with you on this.
Ooh, that's a tough one, because for me personally, I think his situation is just really unique, because Richard Sherman obviously is a very polarizing player. He's someone that automatically brings leadership qualities, and the argument can be made, is his skill level able to match, I guess, the persona that he brings onto the field. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect that I feel like a lot of people aren't paying attention to is the fact that he was a free agent, and the fact that I believe he is his own agent, right? He just tries
Correct.
to negotiate
he
himself.
He represents himself.
So that definitely, in my opinion, adds a layer to what is happening right now. I mean, what better time right now to have professionals who know how to spin, do contract talks and all that stuff. But now, since Sherman unfortunately finds himself in this situation, not only does he have to battle everything out in court, but somehow still have the capacity to try to spin it the way we've obviously seen him be super remorseful interviews, social media, all that kind of stuff. But to me, it seems like it's an uphill battle. But once again, I'm the cynical person being an Eagles fan. It's the NFL. Like, I would not be surprised if he is on a team week one kind of thing either. But personally, for me, it's just really, really intriguing to see how this goes out, because we now live in an age where if this just kind of broke out and everyone saw what happened with Sherman, there'd be so much speculation. Oh, well, this is the type of person we think he is, and well, he's so well spoken. But now we have like the 911 call. Now we have the like doorbell cam. We have all these different footages, and for me personally, that completely changes the game. Now that the NFL knows that everyone sees the public perception of what had occurred. But once again, I am interested to see how it unfolds. But for me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually still on a team and this doesn't end his career.
I mean, he's got a lot of... When you think about Richard Sherman, right, you may hate him. He may be an a-hole, right? And you may be like, I hate that guy. But nobody thinks that he's, like, dumb, right? He's definitely intelligent.
I went to Stanford.
He's for as much as what just happened, he's, you know, a mature guy, and he's a veteran in the league, right? I think some of that, you know, it is rare, very rare, I think, for someone to do something like this and immediately take ownership, not making excuses, right? Having that accountability piece on social media. And that doesn't excuse anything, but I definitely applaud him for that. And I think if he gets his help, this is, you know, no worse than a lot of the other things that we've seen in the league. So I think the only thing he's got working against him really in the is he done thing is just his age, if anything. And obviously if he serves any time for any of that, but I don't think so.
You posted a funny meme that where Sherman is morphing into Antonio Brown. And somebody replied on Twitter, and they were not too happy with that comparison. Obviously, the crimes that they've been accused of are vastly different. But I at least got a chuckle out of that actual meme. So let's talk briefly about the is he done question. Neal, does he have anything left in the tank? Is he still a viable defensive back and could start for a team, all legal problems aside?
I think yes, but kind of what everybody was touching on, he is getting up there. In my personal opinion, I felt like this was probably around his last year-ish. I feel like, I don't know, year or two maybe. But if he has to sit out this year because, you know, nobody wants to touch him because there might be illegal or there is legal ramifications or whatever that situation, I don't know. If he sits out a year and then he tries to come back even older next year, I don't know if it's going to happen for him next year. But I think if he is able to get it figured out, talk to some teams and get on a team this year, I think he can be a good you know, obviously not covering the number one guy, but I think he'd be a good addition to a team.
He's 33 years old. He doesn't necessarily have the speed to keep up with receivers that could get behind him. We actually saw that in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. But he still has great instincts. He understands the game from an intellectual level. He can play zone.
Tommy brought
really
up his leadership too. Big leadership guy, yes.
Right. So I think that there is a possibility, if assuming he gets this sorted in one way or another and doesn't have jail time, and there could be repercussions from the league as well, but I think a team will sign him for depth, if nothing else, for his leadership presence, and I can imagine he would be a decent contributor. We will obviously monitor that, and if there's anything significant, we will certainly discuss it on this show. And then,
and then to also make sure that Brian can't transition cleanly. One thing that Tommy said was
naturally, that's what you're there for, to screw up my segues.
One thing Tommy mentioned was the fact that he's his own agent, and if I was an NFL team and I was trying to sign Richard Sherman, I would absolutely, and I mean this is not a good tactic or whatever, but you would use that against him, right? You would play to his emotions. And you would try to get every dollar out of him. So I would think if he, you know, him for wanting him to get...
He cost himself money. I agree. Even if he does find a team, he cost himself money.
But he cost himself more money, I think, in this situation by trying to represent himself than he would if he would have get an agent. Because an agent wouldn't, you know, a team's not going to get under your skin and be like, well, you did this and you did that. He would get offensive, right? And so I think he might want to consider, if he's going to try to get back into it, an agent for this run for sure.
But I mean, at this point, at age 33, he negotiated his last contract. I mean, would he even bother with that? No, he'll try to negotiate himself, my guess. So let's try segue for the second time. I'm sure we'll find a way to interrupt. So before we jump into our NFC East preview, we're going to do some NFL quick hits. We did this once before. Now that training camps are about to start, there's going to be lots of news coming out. We can't cover it all in depth because our podcast would run 3 hours, and we don't want to do that, and we don't want you to have to listen to that. So we're going to do some NFL quick hits where we'll have a single news line that I'm seeing, and then we'll just turn it over to one of you to comment on your thoughts. And the first quick hit is going to start with Tommy because it does concern his Philadelphia Eagles, and that is that Adam Schefter told John Kincaid of 97.5 The Fanatic that the Philadelphia Eagles are best equipped to trade for Deshaun Watson once his legal situation plays out. Tommy, what are your thoughts on Schefter's comments here?
All right, Adam, I know you're a good friend of the show. I know you listen all the time.
We'll have him on. We'll have him on eventually.
Yeah, I'm about to burn that bridge real quick. I don't like you, man. Like, you're the worst. Like, it goes all the way back from just the schemy ways. He breaks all the news, tries to be first. Everyone knows the HIPAA stuff with JPP's hand releasing picture. Anyway, so this is just like, it's not news, only because he's
Tommy
not
with the HIPAA reference.
Yeah, he's not saying that the Eagles are interested or even pursuing Watson. He's simply saying that they have the most assets to try to accomplish it, which I guess is indisputable because of the multiple first-round picks that we have, and maybe if you just look at our roster, other things that we can do. But, like, the way he tries to spin it is because, like, his reputation is the guy who kind of breaks the news. He's like, yeah, well, I kind of see that the Eagles are blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's my Adam Schefter impersonation. It was terrible, I know. But, yeah, it's a non-news.
I thought that was your generic white guy impersonation.
Oh, I'll use my credit card.
That nailed it. That's how we sound to him. We sound just like that to Tom.
Yeah, you guys all sound the same. Oh, man, hot takes. But anyway, long story short, I definitely think it's at least fun to think about. I don't want to be the old guy be like, oh, it's a not news. I'm not even going to talk about it. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because the Eagles are rolling in right now trying to say, hey, is Hurts the guy? And there's a very real reality where he might not be the guy. So in the back of everyone's head, we'll be like,
real reality.
Real reality.
I think a future topic on this show we should explore is Hurts... Is Hurts the truth, or is he overhyped, or is he being slept on or overhyped?
You know what we should do? We should do an NFC East preview show where we could talk about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles.
I bet the other question is like the Deshaun stuff. Like, we haven't heard a lot about that in a while.
Yeah,
you know,
there hasn't really been anything coming out.
There's we got a season to play.
There's been a few stories here and there. It seems like the NFL media, understandably, is a little scared to touch it. I know that I haven't wanted to bring it up on this show. You know, we did lots of speculation before the allegations about what team he'd want to go to after he made his trade demand with Houston. But we're starting to see a few things trickle out. I've seen articles recently linking the Dolphins to him, and so it's like, okay, we're doing that game again. There's still no inclination.
It's legit just reporters sitting there being like, oh, man, we have no news stories. And then they look like, we didn't talk about Watson in a while. Let's not touch the case, but let's look at teams with questionable quarterbacks and just try to link it.
It's like they're just like dipping their toe out there, like, can I throw a Deshaun Watson article out there? Or, like,
are we allowed to do this right now?
Are we allowed to do this? But I at least wanted to mention this specifically because it was Eagles related and we're doing an NFC East preview. So next NFL quick hit. Neal, the Steelers just signed edge rusher Melvin Ingram, former Charger, to replace Bud Dupree opposite T.J. Watt. He's 32 years old and he signed a 1-year contract. What are your thoughts?
I liked it. I like the signing. I don't like how they're trying to if they're trying to replace Bud Dupree with him, that's bad. But getting him on the team, getting him opposite, I like it because I think he can still contribute. He's nice, but how are you going to replace Bud Dupree? I mean, it's impossible. So
he's going to go in his contract negotiation with another team and be like, his agent will be like, listen, this Bud's for you.
Hand him a Budweiser.
Get it?
No. Will, I won't let that one slide. That was awful, and I want you to know it.
That was really good.
All right, our final NFL quick hit. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers. That's right. We do have one thing of Rodgers news quickly to talk about. He was ESPN's Adam Schefter said that he turned down a 2-year extension offer from the Green Bay Packers. The deal would have, according to sources, tied the reigning MVP to the Packers for 5 more seasons and made him the highest paid quarterback and player in football. Thoughts, Will?
I mean, it's personal, right? Like if they're gonna make you the highest player and it always was. I think that's the moral of the story is like all right, if you're going to turn down that kind of money, then it really truly isn't about the money. And I will say this, one day I hope to be in a position where my principles are worth more than any money can ever speak to. But my principles are for sale, Brian, and it won't take that many zeros to get them to rip them off from my hands. But I think it's going to be interesting because now
$10.
$10. It's. I mean, he's for real, right? And with Brian Gutekunst and all them, it. How long are they going to play this game? Because now he turns that down. He's not there. I mean, I think you just do it, man. You just move on and cut bait. And I think if they do, I think they'll probably emerge like the winner taking the high road out of this Aaron Rodgers thing. If they just say, screw it, we're going to pay you more than Pat Mahomes, which is insanity to me. You just do it, But that's kind of where I'm at. I think we should give that one a little bit of discussion, though, for sure.
That's the thing is, Aaron Rodgers is such a wormhole, and we got a whole division to preview, and there will be more Aaron Rodgers news guaranteed. The Packers start training camp next week. All signs show that he's going to hold out. There'll be plenty more to talk about. We will have more time to discuss, but we do have an entire division to preview, and it may be the trashiest division out there, but we still need to give it its due justice. Okay,
wow.
So, I got to get you guys riled up somehow, right? I want the energy high.
All of us have won a Super Bowl, unlike all the other sorry divisions out there, so eat that.
Well, my team is the only undefeated team. Do we really want to go down that road? All right, oh, wow. NFC East.
Ancient
last
history.
week, we started our division previews. A recap of how we're going to do this. We're going to go through each team. All of us are going to give our thoughts on that individual team, and then we'll give our thoughts on where we think this division will end up. We'll make some predictions. We will do it in order of the 2020 standings, so Neal can be excited that we will start with his football team.
Yes! I'm with Neal.
I was waiting for the sound drop. The chicken drop is a little late, but okay. We all know that Will is the Washington football team is his chosen team for the year. So let's talk about the Washington football team, who hopefully, and we've talked about this before with Neal, keeps football team, but apparently they are looking for a name. We'll see. So key players re-signed. They did re-sign guard Brandon Scherf. They did use the franchise tag on him. Brought back quarterback Kyle Allen. Key additions: Fitzmagic, quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, cornerback William Jackson from Cincinnati, Curtis Samuel out of Carolina, center Tyler Larson, and wide receiver Adam Humphries. So added a lot of pieces to Washington. Key departures.
I didn't realize we got Adam Humphries.
Yep.
Wow. Is it we already?
No.
Wow.
No.
Welcome.
Just like that.
Welcome,
you know what I mean.
Neal,
you know what I mean.
No, it's clear. You have abandoned Tom Brady after all.
No, I have not. No,
and now
really
you're a Washington football fan.
Fitzmagic has better fashion than Tom Brady, anyway. So
Fitzmagic has better fashion than everyone in the NFL.
True.
So that is not surprising.
He's got the chip.
Key departures: they did lose quarterback Alex Smith after that miracle comeback and being comeback player of the year last year. They lost defensive end Ryan Kerrigan, who was an addition to Tommy's Eagles, and offensive tackle Morgan Moses. Key 2021 draft picks: linebacker Jamin Davis, tackle Samuel Cosme out of Texas, and wide receiver Dayami Brown out of North Carolina. Now, one thing we did not mention last week that I want to mention this week is the spread, the plus-minus win total. The spread for the wins is 9, so we can kind of use that as a barometer to decide if we think they'll be over or less. But Neal, obviously, we have to start with you as our resident Washington football fan. How are you feeling about Washington this year in the NFC East?
I am cautiously optimistic. Cautious because they are notorious for letting me down. But if there's
Dan
any
Snyder's wife is running the show now. Maybe the
Dan Snyder is losing some power there. That's good.
Allegedly.
He's giving $10 million to charity willingly. Not really. Like I said, I am excited. This is the year to be excited. I feel like the culture change is real with Riverboat Ron, and we have added some really nice pieces. I mean, Fitzmagic is not the quarterback for the future, but it seems like he's the quarterback for this year. And it's going to be fun to watch him just slanging it to Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin. That's going to be super fun. And I think we did a really nice job of not doing too much to the defense, but adding a little, that cornerback out of Cincinnati. I mean, if there was a weakness on our defense, it was definitely the linebackers and maybe an extra corner. So yeah, I think we addressed that in the draft and free agents, and I mean, why not? Why not run it back? I mean, we discussed it on the other episode that I was on with Tommy. There hasn't been a repeat winner in a long, long time in this division. But
something
I think it's
like
gonna
17 seasons or something crazy,
since 2004.
Right?
Since 2004.
Yeah, but
17,
I think this
was right on. Yeah,
I think this is the year. I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right, Will, since you're now a Washington fan also, apparently, your thoughts on the football team this season?
I just agree. You're not going to come to me and then be like, Fairweather Will football team fan. I just think...
Well, first of all, you are a Fairweather fan. I mean, you go wherever Brady goes.
That's
just a fact.
Says the guy who magically now likes Tom Brady.
Well, we'll get to that. He's becoming more likable. He's not in the Patriots uniform. It's a little bit easier to like him.
Oh, here we go. Listen, but here's the thing, right? I, as you know, last year... huge Fitzmagic fan in Miami. I was really kind of annoyed and upset that they did what they did to him for Tua. I was a fan of him in Tampa, and now he goes where all my former coworkers have shown love, and I've shown a lot of interest. Man, I just think Terry McLaurin just needs to eat, and he eats from some really bad quarterbacks.
I was gonna say he's been eating, and now he has a legit quarterback behind him.
So I'm just here for it, man. I think it's gonna be a fun year. They got a great defense. You know, the fans just need it. So I'm all on board with the football train this year. And I think, to Neal's point, I don't get let down. Like, if the football team just suck, I'm just gonna, whatever.
Oh, so, lucky Will.
So it doesn't matter to me. I have nothing to lose by rooting for the football team.
Definition of a fair weather fan. If they do great, hey, he's all on board. If they don't, he's gonna go back to the Bucs.
But I will say I am going to the football team versus the Bucs in DC, and it's gonna be a hell of a time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So Tommy, I want you to.
You see Tommy rearing to go. You see him right there?
He's itching, boy.
Well, I want you to have some objectivity while simultaneously having your Eagles passion. So you have to walk a fine line. Your thoughts on the Washington football team?
They're going to be better than the Eagles this year, as they should. They're the better football team. Yeah. Right now, I would definitely, not arguably, I would say the better coach. Like, overall makeup, the team is better. But the reason I'm smiling is because I love Neal, but I could not stop smiling when he said, we finally have a legit quarterback. Oh, bro, come on now. Like, the pendulum has swung too far. I love Fitzmagic. I love his story. I love his swagger, and I just love the way he plays. He does not give an F, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to chuck this because this is hilarious, and he just bombs it, and then everyone knows that
look
one
up YOLO in the dictionary, and it's just Fitz with his sunglasses and his hairy chest.
Exactly, and what the kids say, when you look up yeet, it's what Fitzpatrick does. Look how hip I am.
It's
but
Feach with his helmet to the side.
Oh, yeah, that play. Everyone knows that play where he's not even seeing. He chucks it on the sideline catch. If it was Mahomes or pretty much any other quarterback, that would be on ESPN still now replaying. But because it was Fitzpatrick, they're like, oh, whatever. But I love him. So what I'm about to say hurts me. But I think Neal will even have to agree that the pendulum is swinging too far. He's like a darling in everyone's eyes because he's a journeyman. He's been on like everyone's team, so you can't hate someone like that. And
I think Jets fans don't like him.
But no, I mean, Jets fans don't like anyone because they suck. Oh, God. Oh, no. They're going to be attacking me, but it's fine. But no, all I'm trying to say is...
They like Joe Namath, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, all I'm trying to say is since Dan Snyder bought the team in 99, there's been 23 different starting quarterbacks. And I don't want to waste everyone's time and name everyone, but it's names like Brad Johnson, Jeff George, Danny Werfel, Tim Hasselbeck, Mark Brunell, Jason Campbell, Todd Collins.
I don't want to waste everybody's time. Name every quarterback.
Here we go.
Yeah,
well, Tommy, don't you think that's
I could go
compared
so much
to
further?
Some of the,
but the reason I'm bringing this up, the reason I don't want to give Neal PTSD, but the only reason I'm bringing it up is, unfortunately, Fitzpatrick is just going to be another name on this long list. I'm not saying he's going to fail. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is I feel like everyone thinks he's like a top 10 quarterback. I obviously he's not, but the way that people hold him to such high esteem is mind-blowing to me because personally, I'm a big, what's his last name?
Heineke.
Taylor Heineke.
Taylor
I
Heineke.
like him. He's a dog. Like, he gave Brady the most amount of trouble. Not Brady, sorry. The Bucs' phenomenal defense. A lot of head-scratching times where you're like, wait, this guy was literally like in a dorm room doing like homework, and now he's just shredding in a playoff game. I know it's lightning in a bottle, but my argument is Fitzpatrick is essentially lightning in a bottle. That's another. He has so many definitions in the dictionary on what this man can do. But all I'm trying to say is it's hard to say this is going to be a magical season because I don't know if Fitzpatrick can even hold on to the job long enough because I love Taylor Heineke. I think he's great. And so I do think they're a better team overall, but there are a lot of question marks with them. And I'm just going to end my statement saying the most Washington football team move I've seen that's like a perfect microcosm is when they took a long snapper named Cheeseman in the 5th round of the draft. I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, that's Washington football team. But to me,
by the way, it's a crime that Green Bay did not draft that.
Exactly right. That's what everyone wanted.
Yeah, but did you just name off all of the bad quarterbacks in recent Washington football team history and not name Dwayne Haskins?
Oh, no, I wasn't naming bad ones.
I think we cut him off.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I was going to say, those are the good ones.
I was reading them chronologically on just random of the 23 names, but thank you for validating me. Those were all terrible quarterbacks, but it's okay. It's Washington. For me, I don't hate them as much as all the NFC East teams, and that's actually probably the best insult I could give Washington fans. You guys are just like, oh, they won.
Tommy,
oh, that's awesome.
I can't argue with that, but I will have to say, in my defense, legit was comparing the last, especially couple years of quarterbacks we've had there, and Fitzmagic is, I feel like, leaps ahead of those guys.
Okay, I am fully on board with you there.
Listen, Tommy, they may lose, but they're gonna have a hell of a time doing it with Fitzmagic at the helm.
It's gonna be a ride. Yeah, it's not gonna be perfect by no means. We're probably gonna go 8-8, or what is it now with 17 games?
8-9 or
8-9 probably.
Oh, that just sounds bad.
We're probably gonna go like that. But
so here's what I see. I see a defense that finished top 5 last year and, at least on paper, only got better. You've added William Jackson, who is a very solid, underrated defensive back out of Cincinnati. You've drafted Jamin Davis if he can develop, and you have Chase Young going into his second year. That defense is going to keep them in games. You have one of the best, I would say, a top 10 receiver in Terry McLaurin. You have J.D. McKissick showed to be a very good receiving back. Antonio Gibson really started to come on strong in his rookie season. There are a lot of pieces. Oh, but by the way, you also added Curtis Samuel. And then you actually add a viable quarterback. He doesn't have to be a stud. He doesn't have to carry the team. Just by being Fitzmagic, he's going to be leaps and bounds better than what they've had over the past few seasons that Neal hinted at. That alone, to me, makes them a very strong contender to repeat this year in the East.
Mm-hmm. One last thing I just wanted to add there was I absolutely agree. Their defense is ferocious, but I just want to say that a top 5 defense last year with an asterisk, they did achieve it, but if you play all the teams in the NFC East that many times, I mean, you're gonna, and you just have a decent defense, you're probably going to be top 10. But since they had a good defense, they're top 5. That's all I wanted to say. With Dallas coming back.
What's the Eagles' excuse then? Because their defense was awful.
Oh, no,
all right,
Eagles,
we will get to Philly.
I'll trash the Eagles when it's time. Don't worry.
Let's move on to the team that finished in second place last year in the East at 6-10. And as crazy as it sounds, they were one game away from the playoffs and winning this division at 6-10. We didn't mention this. Washington finished
one substitution away,
at
maybe
7-9. Yeah, really. One I don't remember who was the quarterback for the Eagles that they put in. Nate Sudfeld. One Nate Sudfeld decision away from making the playoffs. But the Giants 6-10. The Washington finished 7-9 last season. The key players re-signed by the Giants: defensive end or defensive tackle. He kind of plays both. Leonard Williams, offensive tackle Nate Solder, and nose tackle Austin Johnson. Key additions: really wide receiver Kenny Golladay was the big one. They did add Kyle Rudolph, tight end Kyle Rudolph, running back Devontae Booker, who it seems will start the season as the starter because it looks like Saquon will not quite be ready by week 1. Wide receiver John Ross out of Cincinnati. Mike Glennon, remember that guy? He's still around. And then a really nice addition in cornerback Adoree Jackson, who used to play for Tennessee. Key departures, they lost running back Wayne Gallman, Colt McCoy as a backup quarterback, and wide receiver Golden Tate. And they drafted Kadarius Toney out of Will's University of Florida, linebacker Azeez Ojulari, and cornerback Aaron Robinson. Plus and minus win total for them is 7. Tommy, we'll start with you on this one. Your thoughts on the Giants this season?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. When I was kind of looking at the show doc, I knew we were going to go in the order of how the season ended, and I just keep forgetting that the Giants came in second. But then it brings me great joy because I know the Eagles are the direct reason why they didn't actually win or have a shot to be able to do it, so that brought me joy. But long story short, I just don't see it, and a lot of that boils down to Daniel Jones. They did a phenomenal job creating not perfect system, but a good offense for him to be able, like, for any quarterback to just drop in there, they'll be happy. I know their offensive line isn't the greatest, but at least weapons-wise, that should be able to put a smile on your face. But whenever I see Daniel Jones, I'm like, everyone is already saying this is the make it or break it season. And for me, I don't think it's a hot take. I'm going with a consensus of, from what I've seen so far, I just don't see it happening. So it's not that I'm saying, oh, I just don't like the Giants, so I think they're going to do terribly. It's more on the fact of, well, this is a terrible division anyway, so a lot of the teams here are probably going to struggle once again, and I just don't see the Giants kind of rising to the crop. And since 2017, they're actually tied for the worst record in the NFL, and they're actually tied with their other New York team, being the Jets. So that's kind of phenomenal, right? So it's, for me, being this bad for this long, I don't expect this year being like, oh, it's Daniel Jones. Like, he might take the Josh Allen leap. I mean, even if he has any semblance of being able to improve as drastically as people are hoping to do, I just don't see a scenario where I see them as a threat. Whereas if I see the Eagles playing Washington, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be like a really rough game. But when I see the Giants, I'm like, oh, okay, something crazy is probably going to happen, and I get to see Daniel Jones. So for me, it's a win-win.
Will, you spoke with Jim Monos a lot last week when we had him on with Ty Dunn about Daniel Jones and his going into his third year, and would he follow a similar trajectory of Josh Allen? What are your thoughts on Danny Dimes and the New York Giants?
Yeah, I think the answer is no. I don't
End
think
of
he
show.
is.
Goodbye.
Simple. Next team.
I mean, I am not high on Daniel Jones at all, and I think it more than, this would be a prove it year if they didn't have the team that they had, right? But they do, right? They should be outstanding this year, given that offense and given all what's there, Saquon, all of that other stuff. I think it firmly rests on his shoulders, and I don't particularly like the Giants. Like, when you look at that division, right? I mean, like, there's what is there to like about the Giants? I haven't even met that. Like, the most famous Giant fan to me is Al Bundy, from Miracle Children, and it's just like I don't know, man. But I do think in terms of the league, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens just on that front. And what they do, right? Because assuming that he's not going to work out, and let's all just agree that he's not, right? Like, spoiler alert. Who's the next thing going to be there, right? And can they? Because to me it's a very exciting place to be right now if you're a quarterback, and like, how unfortunate if you have to waste that on Daniel Jones. So I think they're gonna under impress. I also don't like their I don't like Joe Judge. Not a fan, really. So we'll see, but I'm not expecting big things from the Giants this year.
How about you, Neal? Do you think Joe Judge? Yeah, they finished 6-10. I think he got a lot out of that roster to get them to 6-10. Obviously, he comes from the Belichick coaching tree. What are your thoughts on New York?
Yeah, I was going to say 6-10 was a pretty good year for them, honestly, all things considered. I think that's their target next year. If they can hit 6-10 again, probably another good year for them. But will they? That's a good question. I don't know. I agree with what like Will was saying on, this is not, Daniel Jones is not the future for them, probably, most likely. Although I don't think they really have like an outstanding roster. I think even with a different quarterback, unless it's like next level, game changer, like an Aaron Rodgers type, I still think that team struggles a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, Giants 6-10. If they can shoot for it, awesome. If not, what do you do? Move on from Daniel Jones, probably.
Keep being the Giants.
Yeah.
And I do like Joe Judge. Like I said, that was not a 6-10 roster. that he had last season. And just the fact that they got that. And yes, part of that could be due to the fact that it's the NFC East. They actually finished as the number 9 defense, and yes, that also could be due, as Tommy said, to facing the NFC East. And they finished 31st in offense, and this is where it comes down. Yes, they added Kenny Golladay. Injury issues aside, Golladay is a great weapon, especially when it comes to jump balls. He can go up and make plays that will allow a quarterback to maybe not be as accurate because he can go up and kind of get those 50-50 balls. Kyle Rudolph, a nice, solid tight end, especially because Evan Ingram has trouble staying healthy. Like, they've added some nice pieces, but as Will said, we've all said here, it all comes down to Daniel Jones. I'm not a believer. I wasn't a believer when they drafted number 6 a few years ago. He showed flashes as a rookie and then regressed and got worse in year 2. We have seen some quarterbacks do that. Baker Mayfield comes to mind, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I just don't think he has it in him. I've heard a lot of analysis of the way he plays to where he doesn't process quickly enough, and that a lot of the decisions he makes are just a second or so slower than they should be, and that results in so many turnover-worthy plays. Obviously, we know the running down the field and tripping himself, and that's just goofy. But beyond that, he actually just doesn't seem to be making his decisions quick enough and reading NFL defenses well enough.
Also, we're talking about all these additions. Did they even, I can't remember, did they even bolster the line at all? We talked about how bad their line is. I don't really think they made any key additions there, right? And
we signed Nate Solder, who is like league average.
Yeah. I was going to say, they let him go, so their offensive line got a little bit better because of that.
But yeah, like, not even Daniel Jones' part, with Saquon coming back, I feel like maybe a little bit of the injury there was he was getting overworked. He has to do so much. And so if that line is still that bad, Saquon coming off an injury, is he still going to have to be overworked there? I don't know. We'll see.
You know, Washington's defensive line is just licking their chops when they see Giants on the schedule. And Chase Young's like, all right, going to get up extra early today to do a little bit of yoga because I know I'm going to shred today.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones is going to spend a lot of time in an ice bath after that game for sure.
Yep.
And like Tua in Miami, there are no more excuses. They've got the tools. They've got the weapons. I mean, Kadarius Toney is one of those kind of new age running back build wide receivers. You can really scheme him up and get him the ball. You've got a 50-50 guy in Kenny Golladay. You've still got Darius Slayton to run those, the speed and the deep routes. You've got Sterling Shepard, who's a fantastic possession receiver. Kyle Rudolph, Evan Ingram, Saquon, obviously, if he's healthy, one of the best running backs in the game. You have a lot of talent from the skill positions. Offensive line, no offensive line. It's still going to come down to Daniel Jones, and I am just not a believer. So I'm going to take the under. I'm guessing you guys
Who's
are as
backup?
well. So I mentioned they signed Mike Glennon.
That's right.
Formerly, most recently of the Raiders. I think Glennon's been on like 6 teams at this point. So
that doesn't
Glennon
really inspire anything there either.
Might be have a higher floor than Daniel Jones.
Do you know anybody, like, here's the thing too, like, and I know that the court of popular opinion doesn't mean anything in the NFL, but like, I've actually never met a Daniel Jones fan. Like, think about that. Have you
Dave
ever
Gettleman is pretty much the only fan.
Yeah, right. Like, I haven't met anybody. I haven't met anybody who's like, hell yeah, Daniel Jones is the truth. Like, no, and everyone's like,
They see the fact that he leads the league in turnovers, and they're like, all right, we have no. But
I just think it stark comparison to Josh Allen, who's like one of those people that, like, we're talking about it in the flavor of the week, but like, who hates Josh Allen? Nobody. He's loved in the league. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna watch me some Josh Allen football,
he is
right?
Fun to watch. Yep.
And you get excited about it, and like, Jones is just,
you know what?
like,
Jones is similar to like the reception that Drew Lock gets. I've never met a Drew Lock fan where he's like, he's the truth, and I'm like,
the Broncos fans don't even like Drew Lock.
We would have a great episode if we just debated who's worse, Daniel Jones or Drew Lock. I think it's Drew Lock, and it's pretty clear.
Like, between those two, and man, that is as bargain barrel as it gets. I would still take Daniel Jones, and there's not many quarterbacks I would take over Daniel Jones that are starters. All right, let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys, the evil empire. Yeah.
My man, Anthony.
There you go.
You guys are united in your hate for this one.
You know how many listeners we just lost?
I know. We do have a lot of Dallas fans. Hey, I have nothing against Dallas personally. I actually find them entertaining. if for no other reason, they're certainly fantasy darlings on that offense. They started like fireworks at the beginning of the season before Dak was injured. They were set. I mean, he was averaging like 400 yards passing a game. They have one of the best complete receiving cores in the league. They were just lighting it up. Dak goes down. The rest is history. But their defense was one of the worst, or one of the top 2 or 3 worst in the NFL last season. Just complete polar opposites. But hey, Dak is back. He's healed, and he signed a new deal. So key players re-signed.
Is he supposed to start day one?
Oh yeah, he's ready for camp. He's ready to go. Dak Prescott, quarterback Jordan Lewis are key players that they've brought back. Key additions: former safety who's going to convert to linebacker Keanu Neal, who used to play for the Falcons, and defensive line Brent Urban. Key departures: they lost the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, who is now supposedly QB1 in shotgun. Yeah, Red Rocket, Red Rifle. It all works. And they also lost cornerback Chidobe Awuzie. Key 2021 draft picks: linebacker Micah Parsons, who a lot of the people had pegged talent-wise at least as a top 10, and they got him just outside of the top 10. Cornerback Kelvin Joseph, and defensive tackle Osa Odigizua. I have no idea. I probably butchered that. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Their total win line is actually the highest according to Vegas. Their actually projected win total is 9.5, whereas Washington was at 9. So, Neal, we'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts, as objective as you can be, for Dallas this year?
I will try. Let's assume Dak is back to full form, which I don't think he will be until probably at least halfway through the season, right? Full form, coming off an injury. It's tough, man, especially on the legs.
I will say this: it was a bone that he broke. It was not a ligament tear. I don't know if ligaments got torn as a result, but there's a little bit different to having like an ACL tear where you have to get used to planting with that
that is
tendon.
fair. That
so
is
he
fair,
broke his
but,
foot. It might be a little bit different recovery time.
Right. That's fair. I just think the Cowboys, like you said, their defense. They did get Micah Parsons. I like Micah Parsons. I think he's going to help out. But their defense was a huge eyesore last year, and I don't really think it's going to be too much better this year. We'll see. I like Keanu Neal. He's moving to linebacker. He kind of already played linebacker, a hybrid position.
So I didn't mention this, but this is relevant. They really didn't add a lot of players besides drafting Parsons and bringing in Keanu Neal. But what they did add is a new defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, who was the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and more importantly, the former defensive coordinator for the Legion of the Boom in Seattle. So the idea is, can he kind of bring some of that back?
We'll see. I don't know. Especially not this year. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be having that magic yet. That's my problem. There's a lot of question marks here. Is the defense going to be even good enough to keep them in ball games? Is Dak Prescott going to return to form? I think he will. Is that going to be halfway through the season? I don't know.
I mean, Zeke looks great.
Zeke does. He looks.
He does. I mean, and the objective me, it's like, hopefully Zeke can return to form too. That offensive line returns to form. A lot of returning to form here. But their line was very injured. They have talent on that offensive line. I mean, 2-3 years ago, it was the best offensive line in the league.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so if everything can return, best case scenario, yeah, they're competing with Washington football team for the number 1 spot. 9 or 10 wins, hopefully but worst case, I think it doesn't happen again, and they're fighting for 500. I think, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about these weapons that these other teams have. Like the Giants definitely have a fair amount of weapons. Washington certainly does, but Dallas, I mean, that's an embarrassment of riches. You've got Amari Cooper, you've got Michael Gallup, you've got CeeDee Lamb.
Everybody's sleeping on CeeDee. I think CeeDee's going to be great.
Right, CeeDee Lamb showed a lot of promise as a rookie coming into his second season, and there's so many other weapons you can't zero in on any of them. If you're going to double anyone on that offense as far as receiving, you're going to double Amari Cooper. So it leaves somebody with the talent of Lamb just wide open to just run around and make plays. Zeke looks shredded for like the first time. You've got Tony Pollard, who's one of the best backup running backs in the league. You have an offensive coming back. This, like I said, if nothing else, this offense is going to be fun to watch because they're going to move the ball and put up points.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the offense is going to be good, and it's going to be kind of scary to face them every once in a while. Because like you said, I think they probably have the best offensive weapons there overall. overall in the NFC East. I mean, so that's gonna be tough. But like I was mentioning, if everything lines up, everything returns to form, all that good stuff, it's gonna be fun. But I'll let somebody else talk now.
We'll go to Will next because I want Tommy's hatred to boil up a little bit more. Will, what are your predictions? What are your thoughts for Dallas this season?
I don't know, dude. Who knows? I mean,
okay, Will is done. Tommy, are you ready to go?
I mean,
Will with the big take.
I don't know, man. It's like the Cowboys are one of those wild card teams that they'll probably do okay. They'll probably underperform in the eyes of their fans on what they could probably do, right? I mean, they had to pay Dak. He deserved to get paid, but is he really that good? Remains to be seen. So I don't know. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of passion around that fan base, but
that's the problem with their fan base, I feel like, is they get themselves so hyped up for the littlest thing, and then when they underperform every year, they get
says
so
the
disappointed.
football team fan.
They're trash every year. I don't have to get overhyped at all.
Yeah, that's true. Washington fans are not. They don't have high hopes.
They beat that out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah. But Dallas, they think they're going to win the Super Bowl every year, no matter
every
who
year,
their quarterback is.
and they're decent at best usually.
I would say, like 500 plus, whatever that means. Like,
all right, I'm going to give my thoughts, and then we'll finish with Tommy. I think that's appropriate for Dallas. I've mentioned obviously how excited I am for this offense. I do think they're going to put up points, and because if you can put up points in the NFL, you can compete, but you can't win regularly without a good defense, and I just don't see enough to make this defense more than just marginally better than they were last year. Simply bringing on Dan Quinn, the defense that he ran in Seattle takes a very particular type of personnel to run that cover 3 zone. You need these physical corners who are able to press at the line. You need these headhunter free safeties like an Earl Thomas, the Cam Chancellor enforcer. You just need certain archetypes that they don't have. It doesn't matter. He can put in that scheme. Actually, and that was the problem with Atlanta. He put in that scheme in Atlanta. He didn't have the talent, and Atlanta regularly was one of the worst defenses in the league. So we'll see this again. They'll put up points, but their defense will just not be able to do enough. That's my preview of Dallas. Tommy, lay on your truth.
All right, everyone. Sit back. I know we've gone a little bit long, but I was promised this. I'm bringing out my soapbox. You just sit back, relax, just follow the sound of my voice. The only reason I feel like I have to be on the extra offensive right now is because Dallas is going to become the darlings. They're going to be on Hard Knocks. Everyone's going to drink the Kool-Aid. Oh, Zeke's in the best shape of his entire life. Oh, Dak's coming back. We're going to win the Super Bowl. I love Neal because he said it so eloquently when he was talking about Washington, saying, I am cautiously optimistic. That's how you're supposed to be as a fan. That is not at all Dallas fans. They are not humble in the slightest. They see how trash the NFC East is. Says
the Philly fan.
Oh, dude, trust me. When we get to the Eagles, like I said, no one hates the Eagles as much as Eagles fans. So I will do my thrashing of the Eagles after I finish talking about Dallas. But with Dallas, they are just they have to be wired different. Because when you look at it on paper, the paper says only 1 in 3 teams have not made the NFC Championship game in the past 25 years. And it's Washington, Detroit, and Dallas. Congratulations, guys. You're doing fantastic, being mediocre. And now, of course... Prescott
From
is
3
back.
of the people, we got our producer and you two guys.
Hold on. I'm blazing a trail right now. So Prescott is back, and he's always been a good quarterback since the first snap he took in the NFL. He won Rookie of the Year in 2016, and Dallas had a 5-year window to build a championship team around the cheap rookie contract and absolutely failed. So why should I believe that all of a sudden they could turn it around, giving Dak the bag? And all of you guys made a great point. I understand that the injury that he's had doesn't have ligaments and things, so planting, none of that will be an issue. But one big concern a lot of fans aren't thinking about is during practice, you can bet your sweet butt that McCarthy and even Jerry Jones is watching the practice being like, if anyone sneezes on Dak, you're cut. You're not going to be on the team. And so he's going to be coming from being coddled to be like, all right, first game in the NFL, week 1, everything is live fire, and Dak is a good quarterback.
They're giving Dak like 3 times the vaccine. So
I know, right? They're putting him in like the bubble boy suit and everything, like no one touch him. And then week 1 comes and everything's gonna be like live fire. It's really hard to adjust to this speed, even though you try to in practice when he knows like you can't even fart towards him. Which
his
is
mobility is going to be a question. Like I was saying, for half the season at least, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, when you think about like Dak from a DFS standpoint, and this is to Brian's point about how many weapons they have, he's always a great play. And it's weird. Like, because you don't think about the Cowboys in the same vein as you do those other teams, but, like, Dak puts up some fantasy.
Yeah, he does love his
part of that is out of necessity because their defense is so bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just, like, to your point about how will he be this year, it definitely remains to be seen. But
yeah, I think that he will definitely be successful down the stretch, but it's a lot of the things that I mentioned before that, once again, he had, not him himself, he's improved every single year, which is what you want to see. But the Dallas Cowboys, once again, had that 5-year window with that cheap rookie contract when you're supposed to cash in. They never did it, never really got that close. And then one person I did want to harp on real quick is Ezekiel Elliott. He looks great, but he has so much tread on his tires right now. Mark Ingram is literally the only player right now that has more career touches than him. And he just posted career lows in pretty much like every category, like which includes he posted career lows last season in rushing yards per game, yards per carry, yards per reception, rushing TDs, total TDs, and a lot of other categories. Oh, but he did post a career high in fumbles, which is freaking hilarious because I'm not saying he's washed. I understand he didn't have Dak. The line got decimated, but someone by the name of Tony Pollard, who we all hold in high esteem, one of the better backup running backs, outproduced them the past 2 seasons relative to their usage. So I'm not saying Zeke is washed. He's definitely going to bounce back, but you have to think in the back of your mind, age is a real thing. Tread is a real thing. Why should we be convinced that we haven't already seen the best of Zeke and now we're just trying to see what he has left rather than, oh, he's good to go. And last but not least, we all talked about Dan Quinn. Now he's awesome. He's going to come in. He's going to try to do the Legion of Boom. That's not going to happen, man. Just like with Adam Gase, everyone's like, he's great. No, I mean, he lucked into Peyton Manning and was the offensive coordinator. Like, I could have been the offensive coordinator for Peyton. Been like, yeah, you do that, but if you get a line of scrimmage, you do whatever you want. Whatever you see, I trust you. Like, Quinn comes in. He literally sees generational talents. Cam Chancellor, one of the, like, roughest safeties. Earl Thomas, one of the best coverage safeties. Richard Sherman, a lockdown corner. And they just, that whole defense was just insane. And then he gets this credit of building that, and he had 6 years in Atlanta to replicate it, and he failed once again. 6 years. It's not like he only had 2 years to try to make a good defense. They were just always bad. And their defense, like we all mentioned, was historically bad, especially on the rushing end. They were about almost dead last in every rushing category. And their secondary has more holes than Deshaun Watson's legal case right now. I mean, Trayvon Diggs was up and down as a rookie. Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis are okay at best. But their starters at safety likely being Donovan Wilson right now, Devontae Casey, who's coming off an Achilles tear. There's just so many holes where people are saying things like, oh, well, they got rid of Mike Nolan. They hired Dan Quinn, the mastermind behind Legion of Boom. It doesn't work that way, guys. So long story short, and I've been trashing them. I still have them selected as the team to win the NFC East, which isn't saying much. But
we're not to the predictions yet.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we know
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so for all those reasons, I need to thrash them a little bit because I know once Hard Knocks starts, dude, I'm going to have to stay off Twitter and stuff because everyone's going to be like, oh my God, Zeke's going to break the rushing record. CeeDee Lamb is already beating Jerry Rice as the greatest It's going to be terrible. Mm-hmm. Neal, I'm going to need you, man.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to wallow in those fans. But I just want to add real quick, they also lost their leader on the defense, Sean Lee. He retired this year. I mean, I know he was injured last year, but he retired. That's going to be big for them, too. I also want to mention, I looked up Sean Lee right here. The number one people also ask on Google is Sean Lee Chinese?
What?
Yes. I don't know why.
It's like Bruce Lee, but
why does they come?
He's
That's
like
what
Bruce
I was
Lee,
saying.
That's a perfect embodiment of what Dallas fans are like. Good job, Dallas fans.
Yeah.
It's a perfect embodiment of the internet.
Yeah, that was. I didn't get it,
true.
but I thought that was hilarious.
Well, we will certainly be watching Hard Knocks to find out. It looks like Zeke threw away his spoon because he does look shredded. Look forward to hearing more about that. Let's cue up our final team. Obviously, we will start with Tommy on this. He's already fired up with his Dallas hate. It's time for him to throw some Eagles love. So, the Philadelphia Eagles at 4-12 last season. Obviously, it was a disaster of a season and a disaster of a division. Key players re-signed. Center Jason Kelce, who was really their only regular starter last season. You talk about decimated offensive lines. Their offensive line was about as injured as it comes. They brought back linebacker Alex Singleton and defensive end Brandon Graham, who is a classic player from that roster. Key additions, we mentioned earlier, Ryan Kerrigan, former football player and first-round pick from Washington. Running back Kerryon Johnson, remember that guy? Yeah, he is now in Philadelphia. Safety Anthony Harris, which is actually a great pickup, safety out of Minnesota. And quarterback Joe Flacco, which completely erases all the progress we made with those previous great signings. Key departures, wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey, wide receiver Deshaun Jackson, and safety Jalen Mills. And their draft picks, we all know how much Tommy is feeling Devontae Smith, center Landon Dickerson, and cornerback Zach McPherson. So, win total prediction is 6.5. Tommy, tell us about your Philadelphia Eagles.
They suck, man. Like, they're not going to be good. And I am fully aware that I'm the Eagles fan, but like I always say and will always continue to say, no one hates the Eagles as much as Eagles fans. And it's going to be a pretty rough season, but once again, it's that cautious optimism that Neal was talking about. It's not a hot take to say that the Eagles are going to struggle. I feel like unanimously they are predicted to have one of the least wins in like the entire league. Definitely, or I feel like definitely in the NFC East. They have to, along with maybe the Giants or whatever. I don't know what the odds are, but once again, they're not saying that to be mean to Philadelphia. They're just looking at the roster, seeing a rookie head coach, the fact that their defense is horrendous, and the fact that
a rookie head coach who has never called plays too.
Exactly. And this is very typical of Jeffrey Lurie. So when he fired Andy Reid and then we got Chip Kelly and that experiment fell apart, they're like, damn, I really wish we had Andy Reid. So let me just go get Doug Peterson. And then when we did the whole Doug Peterson experiment, we won a Super Bowl, but of course we let a very special person in Franco over to Indianapolis. And after the Doug Peterson thing fell through, Lurie was like, oh man, I really wish we had Frank over here, so let me just go over here and get the next best thing again.
Former offensive coordinator Frank Reich.
Yeah, sorry. Should have specified. But yeah, so there are a lot of reasons to have
for our non-Eagles fans who don't know who Frank is. Yeah,
yeah, great coach.
Frank the Tank.
Exactly. But all I have to say is our secondary is terrible. Our linebackers are incredibly sus, and our wide receivers are unproven. We have a rookie head coach to complement a polarizing quarterback and a 93-pound wide receiver that fans are convincing themselves will change the history of the bad wide receivers that's been through Philadelphia.
Which fans?
Yeah, but like for seriously,
well,
like outside,
the Eagles still have fans.
Oh, we have tons of fans.
I said which fans are convincing themselves?
Oh, trust me, pretty much every single Philadelphia fan that you know are convincing themselves that this 93-pound wide receiver is going to change the history.
Joke about Tommy. Jeez.
Like outside of the 1.5 seasons. You need to make it more clear.
It didn't make sense. Your jokes didn't make sense, Will. You're off your game today.
Listen.
Continue.
No, all I'm saying is outside of the 1.5 seasons that T.O. gave us, which was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, who are the next best wide receivers that went through? Like Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin. Like, good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Philadelphia Eagles. Great wide receivers. So this is just my way of saying I'm cautiously optimistic because I honestly think they will perform a little bit better than whatever we'll talk about during the predictions. I think they're still going to be a little bit of a surprise, but it all really boils down to something that Will said. What is Jalen Hurts? Is he for real? Is he not? I would love to hear your guys' opinion on him.
Go. Will, you want to say something? Go.
I mean, I think the Jalen Hurts thing is going to go one of two ways. It's not going to go correct, but it's going to go really
one
good.
Of two ways, good or bad.
It's going to go really good or really bad. It's not going to be mediocre. Like, I don't think you're going to look at, like, Jalen Hurts is not going to be Andy Dalton, right? He's either going to be, like, up there in terms of, like, feeling good, or he's just going to be total dog doo-doo. So, I don't know. I hope. I like him a lot, you know, and I think that the league is kind of sleeping on him a little bit. So, we'll see. I always
like Will, man. Will's a great guy.
I know.
You guys are just so synchronized today. Tommy and Will
Birds.
are just
Tom Brady, I'm telling you, he's the greatest of all time.
Twice. Look at that.
Man.
So, let's go to Neal, the other NFC East person on the show. What are your thoughts on the Eagles this year? And do not spare Tommy's feelings at all.
Yeah, go hard. Go hard in the paint.
This is bleak, man. This is rough. I They were 4-11 last year. I felt like they had a better team last year. Like, I don't know, man. It is like Tommy said. It rides on Hurts' shoulders at this point. It always does. Every team lives or dies with their quarterback, essentially, and he's just, we don't know how he's going to perform with a rookie head coach with a really bad line. I mean, Kelsey, I love Kelsey, but everybody else is and they have Devontae Smith. Hopefully he plays well. Who else do they have as wide receiver? Who's their running back? I don't even. Or is that like
Miles Sanders? Miles Sanders is
not bad. That's true.
They brought in Kerryon Johnson. They still have Boston Scott.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But their offense is not looking good. Their defense is looking hopefully better, with those few draft picks and everything. But man, I think 4 or 5 wins is what they should be aiming for, and I think that's kind of realistic.
Devonta Smith is going to get 4 or 5 wins by himself.
My man.
Well, that's what I mean. Wow, if they win,
Tommy, whatever you paid Will, do it again for
I'm Venmoing as we speak. For every comment, I'm Venmoing $5.
If they win more than 4, it's going to be because Devontae's going off, or not Devontae.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is going off,
which means Devontae is also probably going.
Probably
off.
Yes, exactly.
In connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's being generous, Tommy. I hate to say it. I don't see any hope. I'm not a Jalen Hurts believer. He's fun. He'll have some good fantasy weeks just because of his running.
I take back everything I said about Tua.
We have to be honest on this show. I'm not saying I don't want them to succeed. I don't have anything against Philly. They beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I will always have a fond spot in my heart for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I don't like the Sirianni hire at all. I've said that multiple times on this show. Should they have gotten rid of Doug Peterson? That's a different question. Carson Wentz, I think, needed to leave town, but regardless of how bad he was last season, going from him to Jalen Hurts is still a downgrade. They have had issues on defense, especially when it comes to stopping the pass. They didn't really do anything to address that. Their offensive line should be healthier. That should make their offense a little bit better, but Jalen Hurts as a passer, I'm not sold. He'll make some plays. I think Devontae Smith is fantastic. I wanted him in Miami, so I'm with you there. Lockstep, I think Smith will be great. I do think the fact that he's played with Hurts at Alabama is a plus, and I do think he'll have maybe a better rookie curve than a lot of these rookies who come in, so I'm very high on him, especially maybe for fantasy purposes, but I just don't see. You've got Washington with this incredible defense and a rising offense. You've got Dallas, which is just a fantastic offense. They're going to be fighting with New York. I actually think New York's defense will at least be, top 15. I don't see anything for Philadelphia, and I just think it's going to be a long season. And you know what? You guys have a lot of draft capital. Hopefully next season you finish, top 5 draft pick, and maybe there's a quarterback who comes out of nowhere and surprises us.
I will just say that we will be clipping a lot of this, so when the Eagles do start surprising people, I'll be like, wow, listen to how humble Tommy was. He didn't even fire
Listen to how right Will was.
Yeah, Will was just so smart.
I will be happy if my co-host Tommy's team has a phenomenal year. I'll be happy to eat crow and admit that I'm wrong. So
you can edit that
this
part
all
out,
lives
Anthony.
Forever.
Yeah, don't clip that one.
Me trying to give the olive branch. Take that out. We want Brian to be a
Philly says,
be a
"What
jerk.
is this, man?"
So Tommy, let's go to you and let's now go through predictions. Top to bottom, how do you see this division playing out?
Yeah, so I wrote down the records of every team, and although I feel filthy saying it, I want to at least be somewhat accurate. I have Dallas Cowboys first in 10-7, followed by the Washington Football Team 8-9, followed by Philadelphia Eagles 7-10, and Giants being last 6-11. And like I said, I really want to put Washington first, but the only reason I did is I guess I'm kind of being superstitious. It's just the fact that since 2004, there has not been a repeat champion. So for me, you can make it interchangeable. But for the record, I will say Dallas, Washington, Philly, New York.
Neal, your predictions for the NFC East.
Well, let's go. I have to pick Washington Football Team number 1. Let's get that off right bat. I think optimistically, I'm going to go 10 wins. Do I believe that in my heart? Maybe, or in my brain. I believe in my heart, but in my brain, maybe not. Maybe 9 wins, but I'm going to say 10 wins. I think the Cowboys will be next. I think they'll be right around 8 or 9 wins right there. I think they'll be nipping at the heels. I really do. It's gonna be a tough division, and I want to say this too real quick. I mean, I think we talked about it when I was here last with Tommy and my co-host Connor. With like the Packers, probably not being that good and stuff. I think the NFC East might have 2 playoff teams this year. Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe.
That is a hot take.
That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot.
Team that got in at 7-9 with their
That's
division winner
hot.
last year. Neal, thank you for giving us that hot take.
Yes.
You know what? Drew Brees isn't in New Orleans.
Exactly.
If Rodgers doesn't play in Green Bay, the NFC West might have something to say about that.
I was going to say, the more likely story is the West gets 3, but... and then I probably put the Giants there. I want to say like 5 wins. And then the Eagles down there. Like I said earlier, I'd say 4. Let's say 4 wins for them. Oof.
Okay, Will, your pick for the NFC East.
I agree with Neal's hierarchy. I don't particularly care about the number of wins of each one because it's not going to be relevant or fantastic, but I think it's going to be pretty clearly a football team, followed by Dallas, and then Giants, and then the Eagles. Pretty clear, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that, triple that exact order. I do think the division will be improved, top to bottom.
Yeah,
I honestly believe
so.
that. Whether they're going to get 2 playoff teams in, I think that's a stretch. So I'm not going to join you on that hill, Neal.
Hey, Brian,
but
what's the more likely scenario, that Gio Bernard has a 2-touchdown game, or that the NFC East gets 2 playoff teams in?
Gio.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I was trying to find a reason to logic my way. No, Gio.
As a fan of the NFC
2 touchdown
East,
game.
I cheated.
I'll give him that. So, yes, I think Washington will win the division. I think it will be Dallas will be right there. I think Dallas's defense is going to be a liability in the end. I like the idea of them finishing 8-9, 9-8. I'm with you, Neal. I can see Washington getting to 10 wins personally. They went 7-9 and only made improvements and improved at the most important position. I'm a huge Fitzmagic believer. I do think the Giants are going to finish third. I actually don't think they're going to be as disastrous. I think I could see them getting 7 wins because I like Joe Judge as a coach. I like their defensive talent. I don't like Daniel Jones. But I just think the Eagles are going to get like 2 or 3 wins this season. So,
I believe in the Giants because of Joe Judge and Danny Dimes, but the Eagles suck ass and they're going to get like 1 win. Oh, cool, Bri.
Hey, the way I see it, Tommy, is you're going to get lots of cool high-end draft capital next year, and then the year 2022 is the year of the Eagles. So I'm trying to put
Sorry,
some
my
future
aggression
hope
just
into
tends
you.
to come out. I just see red and I just say
it.
things I don't mean.
He's a Philly
you're a
fan. That
passionate
happens.
Eagles fan. Exactly. We're used
Neal knows how
to.
to
We
deal with
want
us.
that kind of vitriol. You are a true Eagles fan, Tommy, and that's one of the reasons we love you. So
wait, hang on. So how many wins did you say the Eagles are going to get, Brian? 2 or 3?
I'm gonna say 3. Let's say 3 and 14.
Wait, hang on. So let's hang on. So let's bet this. For every win that the Eagles get beyond 3, you have to open and close the episode with "Go Birds."
Fair. Done. Agreed. We are recording. It has been put into history. Yes. Any win above 3 that Philadelphia gets, I will open and close the episode with "Go Birds." You have heard it here first.
Fair enough.
All right. So we have previewed the NFC East. You have heard our predictions. Next week we will be doing the AFC North, and the week after that the NFC North. So quick reminder, we do have a couple DFS fantasy leagues that we're going to do. Neal, you're more than welcome to come. I don't know if you have any experience in DFS, but we are going to make it free. We're going to have a weekly league with prizes every week, including Will's various meme hats that he buys off Amazon. Hopefully he has one for the flavor of the week. He hasn't had one in quite a while. We will see. And then another season-long DFS league, still working out the details. We are going to start mentioning it on social media probably in the next week or 2. So you can reach out to us at pigskinpartypodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us on social. Best way to reach us is on Twitter at official PPPod. As always, you can watch this on YouTube, and we're on various other social media platforms. Don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I want to thank my guests, Neal Thrailkill, who will be sticking around for the flavor of the week, Tommy and Will. Tommy, we might have to give you a few minutes to catch your emotions before we go into the flavor of the week.
Tears his ACL and Tim Tebow becomes a quarterback of Miami.
Me too.
Wow, that was
except
the
for
Tebow
the
thing
part.
made that worse. It's one thing to talk about. Telling me that Tim Tebow is going to be my quarterback, now I'm triggered. Okay, that is the time that we need to wrap it up. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to stick around for the flavor of the week.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Pigskin Party Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. We'll catch you in the next Pigskin Party.